This is macOS Ken.
A new sort of problem in the supply chain. Union moves grow in Apple's ranks, and Apple is cool in the Netherlands again. It is Monday, the 13th of June, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home. SimpliSafe is advanced whole home security that puts you, your home, and your family's safety first. I love the fact that they let you build the system you need. Maybe you're good on smoke detectors but need door sensors and some cameras. The point is, what you need for your home may be different from what other people need. So get the components that are right for you to make your home as safe as can be. Monitoring plans are affordably priced at $1 a day with no long-term contract or hidden fees, because feeling safe at home shouldn't break the bank. And setting it up couldn't be simpler. I had my SimpliSafe system up and running in well under an hour. You can customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafecom/macOSKen. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. SIMPLI. Go to simplisafecom/macOSKen. Foxconn is dealing with a whole new supply chain issue, the poaching of its employees. Apple and Foxconn have been looking to shift some of their manufacturing out of China for a while now. That's partly in response to the on and off COVID lockdowns, though it seems to be tied more closely to ongoing tensions between the Chinese government and the U.S. Earlier this month, we heard word that Apple manufacturing partner BYD was set to start a small run of iPad production in Vietnam. Now Apple Insider says Foxconn is looking to grow its manufacturing presence in that country, though it's having trouble with staffing. The piece highlights a Bloomberg report that has Foxconn chairman Young Liu illuminating the issue. Bloomberg has the chairman indicating that supply chain competitors are allegedly opening up facilities near Foxconn campuses in the country so they can poach workers and benefit from the existing knowledge and skills pool. While he wouldn't say which companies were stealing his workers, he did say the move shouldn't be condoned. Here's a question. If competitors can pay your employees enough to leave, any chance you could pay them enough to stay? Unionization moves are spreading around Apple after a spate of stories about Apple stores trying to unionize here in the U.S. News of the first such move in the U.K. A piece in the Glasgow Times says workers at Apple Glasgow have filed for voluntary union recognition with Apple after joining the Edinburgh-based labour union GMB Scotland. The piece has Apple retail employees saying low wages, lack of pay transparency, and unfair shift patterns have prompted the unionization move. One anonymous employee is quoted as saying, "In the UK, Apple have staff forums, but these are continually shown to be ineffectual and feedback is ignored. It is a one-way conversation. We need our own representatives and a proper voice to change things. People are suffering with the cost of living crisis. We need a pay rise, pay transparency, and a voice." The piece also has Scottish Secretary of GMB Louise Gilmore saying, "GMB's mission is to make work better, and we are delighted to give these workers the support they need to unionize in Apple. Times are changing for big tech firms. In the grip of the biggest cost of living crisis in 40 years, they need to start practicing what they've been preaching for years about corporate social responsibility. So rather than fight against the inevitable, Apple must listen to its workers, respect their desire to organize, and work with our reps to make it happen, because this drive for recognition isn't going away." For its part, Apple said what it's said since unionization moves started to take hold in the States earlier this spring. We are fortunate to have incredible retail team members, and we deeply value everything they bring to Apple. We are pleased to offer very strong compensation and benefits, including private health care, enhanced parental leave, paid family leave, annual stock grants, and many other benefits for every team member. Post-production for Apple TV Plus in New York has gone union. A piece from Deadline says a small group of freelance post-production coordinators in New York have voted unanimously to join the Communication Workers of America, or CWA, in National Labor Relations Board, or NLRB, supervised elections at 8 separate companies, including Apple Studios. According to the union, according to the report, it's the first time post-production coordinators in New York's film and TV industry have won formal union representation, and the first time that workers employed by any Apple subsidiary have ever won an NLRB election for union representation. Other studios in on the action include CBS Studios, Disney Pictures, HBO, Netflix Productions, Showtime, Turner, and Universal Television. Deadline has the union saying these victories are representative of the growing wave of labor organizing across the country and further reaffirms CWA's commitment to support worker organizing in the creative arts and cultural sectors, as well as the tech and game industries. It looks like Apple and Dutch authorities have finally come to terms. You probably remember this story. Since the tail end of 2021, regulators in the Netherlands have insisted that Apple make it possible for dating apps in the App Store there to employ third-party payment solutions rather than being bound to Apple's in-app payment mechanism. Apple submitted a proposal in February that was rejected by the Netherlands Authority for Consumer Markets, or ACM, and that was not even the middle of the back and forth between the two parties, though the whole affair seems to have finally reached its end. Well, reached a stopping point. A piece from Mac Rumors lays out the latest concessions made by Apple. Meanwhile, Apple 3.0 shared the news that the changes were up to spec as far as regulators were concerned. The Apple 3.0 post had the regulators saying, Apple has changed its unfair conditions and will now allow different methods of payment in Dutch dating apps. With this concession, Apple will meet the requirements that the Netherlands ACM set under European and Dutch competition rules. Not that Apple is done fighting. The Mac Rumors report has Apple saying, "We don't believe some of these changes are in the best interests of our users' privacy or data security. Because Apple is committed to constructive engagement with regulators, we're making the additional changes at the ACM's request. As we previously said, we disagree with the ACM's original order and are appealing it." More news in a moment, but first a word from BetterHelp, sponsor of today's show. I'm not a fan of absolutes, but it feels fairly safe to say we all experience burnout. For me, a lot of times, it manifests as anger and an ability to get it into gear, putting off stuff that needs to be done because I don't wanna. I mean, I do want to, but sometimes I just can't. Identifying burnout doesn't mean a lot, though, if you're not ready to do something about it. If you are, consider BetterHelp. Now, you are hearing that help part, right? I've known people to complain about counseling both online and in person because it didn't fix everything. Well, it can't. Rather, BetterHelp counselors help you deal with whatever's stressing you, troubling you, burning you out. That said, I have had counselors with whom I've worked well and others that weren't a great fit. That is one great thing about BetterHelp. If you and your counselor don't gel, you can change. No justification required and no additional cost. If you're ready to try making things better, try BetterHelp. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Listeners to this show get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. That's betterhelp.com/macOSKen. betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Two bits of weirdness after last week's Worldwide Developer Conference, both of which could be in the Apple giveth and Apple taketh away category. Reports last week indicated that the first beta of tvOS 16 brought support for HDR10+. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know what HDR10+ is. Or I didn't until I went to Wikipedia, which explains HDR10+ is a high dynamic range, or HDR video technology, that adds dynamic metadata to HDR10 source files. The dynamic metadata are used to adjust and optimize each frame of the HDR video to the consumer display's capabilities in a way based on the content creator's intents. According to a piece from iDownload blog, the preview pages for macOS 13 Ventura, iOS 16, and iPadOS 16 initially promised HDR10+ support. By the end of the week, though, the site says all mentions of the format had been removed from all of the preview pages. That the format will be supported someday seems a given. How soon is another story. If it was likely in the coming updates, iDownload blog seems to think that Apple would have kept the feature listed, but replaced it with coming this fall or coming in 2023. The piece points out that there is currently no Apple TV that can output the format. Maybe Apple is not listing it as supported because it doesn't want to tip its hand on upcoming hardware. Whatever the case, iDownload blog says the format's inclusion in iOS 17, iPadOS 17, tvOS 17, and macOS 14 seems a safe bet. As for the other thing that's gone missing, you know how you can set up an iPad as a home hub? Yeah, not for much longer, it seems. Another piece from iDownload blog says with the arrival of this fall's updates, only Apple TV or HomePod will be supported as home hubs. While iPad still shows up as an option in the first beta of iPadOS 16, the piece says toggling it on does absolutely nothing in terms of setting up your iPad as a home hub. As for why the iPad functionality is being removed, iDownload blog thinks Matter may be the matter. The site describes Matter as a new industry standard created to make smart home devices and platforms even smarter and interoperable. iDownload blog thinks it's possible that a hub supporting Matter may need an always-on, or at least always-powered, device. HomePod and Apple TV are always plugged in. iPad is not, quite often. Though it's only speculation on the site's part, battery-powered versus plugged-in is the only reason iDownload blog can fathom for pulling Apple's tablet out of the loop. More out there for your script reading production nerdery. I told you last week of a Deadline feature called It Starts on the Page that highlights scripts of some of the most popular and influential shows in a given year and serves as a sort of jumping-on point for the never-ending award season. Two new scripts have hit the pile that probably couldn't be more different, except for the one thing they have in common: they're high-profile shows from Apple TV+. Up now for your perusal, the script for Episode 1, Season 1 of Pachinko, and Rainbow, the 5th episode of Season 2 of Ted Lasso. Last week, Deadline said the scripts it was posting were all being submitted for Emmy consideration. Seeing at least a few more scripts from Apple TV Plus wouldn't be a surprise. The entertainment site of Nike, who knew, has inked a first-look deal with Apple Original Films. A report from Deadline says Apple, Nike's Waffle Iron Entertainment, and Make Ready will team up to deliver a slate of films to inspire the next generation of athletes and celebrate the power of sport. Because if there is one thing that is never celebrated enough, it's sport. Part of me feels like Apple TV Plus has gone to the sports well a lot in its relatively short existence. In fairness, though, they tried celebrating the app development process before Apple TV Plus. Did not go well. Sports content's pretty safe, plus it's early days for the streamer. And finally today, news from Apple TV Plus that might strike some as somewhat surprising. The Cupertino streamer has announced a second season order for the musical comedy Schmigadoon. An order for a new season isn't a complete surprise. The show won awards and was a hit for Apple TV Plus. But here's the thing. That story has been told. And can you do the whole 1950s musical thing again? Well, new story, one imagines, and new old genres to tackle. While the press release gives no hint as to the story, it does say that Season 2 of Schmigadoon will find our characters in Schmigadoon, the world of 60s and 70s musicals. Everybody appears to be back on board, including show leads Cicely Strong and Keegan-Michael Key. Season 1 is available to stream now on Apple TV+. No word on a premiere date for Season 2. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplisafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.